Good to go? Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to everybody. We will call to order the regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, December 3 of 2024. We appreciate everybody joining us. We want to note for the record that the meeting is being live streamed and being recorded. And we would ask you to please put your cell phones on silent or vibrate if you wouldn't mind doing that. We would appreciate that courtesy. We always begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then if you could please remain standing for a moment of silence. Commissioner Kennedy, would you mind leading us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you please remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sinata,
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Here.
Commissioner Vogler.
Here, we do have a quorum. During the course of our meetings, we always have two opportunities for public comment. One in just a few moments and then one before we adjourn. And if you do have a public comment, we certainly welcome it. You're welcome to speak both times. If you only want to speak one of the two times, that's fine. Or if you're just here to listen, that's also fine. We do ask that your comments be related to county government matters. And we ask that if you can try to limit your time to about 5 minutes, we would appreciate that courtesy. On the agenda, we always set aside time for any of our elected row officers who might want to attend, but today none of them are here. They're not obligated to be here. So that does take us to public comment. I'll open the floor at this time, see if anybody has a comment they'd like to make. Hearing none at this point. Thank you all. Next on the agenda under fiscal and contractual, I'll note that we did not have a commissioners meeting last Tuesday. Commissioner Sonata and I were attending the fall conference of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania in Dauphin County. So we've gone 2 weeks without a meeting. We have a lot of housekeeping to take care of, including the warrant registers that are submitted to us by the County Controller's Office, which is a listing of the checks that have been cut by that office. They are dated November 19, 21, 25, and 27. And give my colleagues, and by the way, they're here if anybody wishes to look at them. Give my colleagues time to glance at them and review them. And then whenever, gentlemen, you're ready at your convenience, please feel free to make a motion to accept these documents.
I'll make a motion to accept the documents.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do you have any concerns or questions about any of the things you looked at? Okay, thank you. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The warrant registers are accepted. We thank the Controller's Office. We have the minutes of the November 19 meeting in our packet. Gentlemen, once again, take whatever time you need to look them over, and whenever you're ready, I'd be glad to take a motion for us to adopt those minutes.
I move we accept the minutes.
I'll second.
Thank you both, Dan and Chris. Are there any concerns about the minutes? Hearing none, we'll ask for a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Under written communications, we've had one document come in. It was dated November 19. It is from Fike Associates on behalf of the Allegheny Mineral Corporation, which is based in Katanning over in Armstrong County. They're giving us notification that the company proposes to conduct overburden and production blasting in compliance with all state and federal laws at its surface mining operations located in Slippery Rock Township of Lawrence County. Blasting may be conducted Monday through Saturday between sunrise and sunset from January 9 of 2025 through January 8 of 2026. Gentlemen, any concerns or questions about this document? If not, could I have a motion for us to accept it?
I'll make that one.
I'll second.
Thank you both. If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you, Vanessa. We drop down to commissioner reports and comments, and today Mr. Sanada gets to go first.
Thank you, Chairman. It's actually was a little bit quieter weekend, but I did have an opportunity to attend Festival of the Trees out in the Shannon. It's a great tradition, and it started many, many years ago, and I was so happy that they brought it back. Superintendent Ian, the library, and all those who volunteered to do it. It's been out in the Shannon Elementary School for a while now, and beautiful trees and a lot of nice vendors, a lot of entertainment for the kids in the community. So that was pretty much my main event this weekend. Got a chance to watch the Steeler game on Sunday, so it was a quieter weekend. And just touching on, last week I did have the opportunity to go to the CCAP conference in Dauphin County. I thought it was very helpful. Got a chance to talk to commissioners from around the state. Many of them have the same issues we do in Lawrence County, and I thought it went well, and look forward to when we go back and meet with them in the spring. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanada, and I appreciate that you mentioned Superintendent Meehan, because on the wall over there is a picture of his dad, John Meehan, or people knew him as Jack Meehan. Mr. Meehan served 2 terms as commissioner back in the 1970s, and prior to that was the county coroner. And for those of you who knew him, did you know him, JR? Okay, he was a first-class gentleman. You probably remember Mr. Meehan.
When I worked for Congressman Colger, he was the county commissioner.
Yep.
He passed away in office.
No, it was shortly
after he
Yeah.
was done, he passed away. He was a gentleman, and I concur, Chairman.
Yep.
Man.
He was very much a gentleman. So thank you for bringing his
Yeah.
name up, I thought. I'd like to note, I guess I go next. I'd like to note 2 things that later today, the 3 of us will be attending Visit Lawrence County's annual luncheon meeting. That's the tourist promotion agency. And it's right up here at the former Epworth Methodist Church, which is now known as, I've drawn a blank on what they're called. It's not the Gathering, is it?
No, I've always wanted to call it the quarry, but
I
it's
think
not
it's
the quarry.
Stone Castle Happy.
Stone Castle.
Stonecastle Abbey, thank you. Oh, it's your daughter's, your daughter Abby?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that way I'll remember it.
Yeah.
So we'll be attending that. Commissioner Sanada serves on their board of directors. So we're looking forward to that. The second and final thing I have, and this is something just to think about, but I was noticing in looking at next year's calendar, in the month of November of 2025, we're going to have a very unique situation. There are 4 Tuesdays that month. And based on the schedule right now, we would only be meeting one of those Tuesdays. The reason being, on the 4th of November, that's election day. Next year, in 2025, Veterans Day falls on the 11th, which is a Tuesday. So the courthouse will be closed. we would meet on the 18th. And then on the 25th, which is the last Tuesday of November, that coincides with the fall conference of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania in Dauphin County. So right now, we've only got one scheduled meeting that month. So think about how you'd like to handle that. We can always schedule a meeting on another day, but we don't have to make that decision right now, but just something to give some thought to. So thank you, gentlemen. I'll turn it over to Commissioner Kennedy.
I don't have much at all, just it was a little quiet around here last Monday and Tuesday without you two being here. And I was here and they kept me in line, so we behaved ourselves. But it was a little quiet around here. Some people took some time. Tim Germani, or the one guy that really needed it, him and his staff, I think they took some time over Thanksgiving to relax a little bit, and it's good. Good to see, but overall, we had a pretty good week last week, and we got through it and kept going. So hopefully this week, we'll go to lunch today. It should be interesting to see what that place has turned into up there, so it'll be different. That's all I have.
And noting that too, when the Epworth Methodist Church closed, they were very gracious. They donated some of their pews. At the time, Judge Amato was overseeing the restoration of the original courtroom in the old courthouse, which is now referred to as courtroom number 5. But the pews in that courtroom came from Epworth Methodist Church. So we appreciate their generosity. So gentlemen, thank you for your updates. Now, I'd like to ask if the two of you would object, further down in the agenda, we have 2 resolutions that are on the table. And the folks that are here to talk about those resolutions, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind if we bring them up right now, because we have a lot of transfers to consider, and this way, we're not going to keep them all that much longer. Are you both okay with that? Thank you very much. We're going to drop down to the first resolution that was tabled a couple of weeks ago. This is proposed resolution 348. And this comes from Lawrence County Social Services, and Vanessa Lovely is with us. And Vanessa, if you wouldn't mind coming up front, we would appreciate that. You weren't able to be with us 2 weeks ago, so we tabled it. You indicated that was okay. So today, if you'd like to talk about it, and hopefully, if it's satisfactory to my colleagues, we can probably move forward with it. So I'll turn it over to you, Vanessa.
Thank you. First of all, please pardon my absence 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, I had that stomach bug with dizziness that seems to kind of be going around. So all better, and I appreciate you rescheduling. I'm going to do my very best to describe this Department of Human Services driver retention bonus. A couple of years ago, the Federal Center for Medicare Medicaid Services gave each of the states some money that they wanted to pass along to the drivers who are actually providing the trips under the Medical Assistance Transportation Program. And Lawrence County Social Services is with the county's, blessing, the administrator for that program for Lawrence County. So a couple of years ago, I came to see you all, Chairman Togler was here. No, everybody was here. It was April 2023, the first time that the DHS program provided $164,440.44 to Lawrence County to pass along to drivers who were providing this service, day in and day out. And now this is the second time the same thing is happening. We're told this is the second and final time that this will ever happen. And I think the reason that they're wanting to pass along these funds is they want to be able to retain and attract drivers. Driver shortages across the country are very real. And especially during COVID, a lot of people, thought, I don't really want to work in close proximity to people or take them to medical appointments and whatnot. So that's sort of the rationale behind it. So this year, DHS has sent Lawrence County $184,675, no change. And they came up with that calculation by looking at the total number of trips provided through that MATP in fiscal year 22-23, and they multiplied that trip count by $2.28, pardon me. So how Lawrence County Social Services requested your approval to allocate the last time as well as this time is purely on a pro rata share of trips provided. So we looked at, ACTS, NOGA, Ambulette, and the Transit Authority are the three MATP transportation providers for Lawrence County. And we looked at the number of trips they provided in the period in which they used for the calculation, which was fiscal year 22-23, and are asking for your consideration to move forward with the payments based on those percentages. ACTS provided 83.4% of the trips. NOGA Ambulette, just a little bit less than 1%. We do reach out to them often, but they're very busy with other services. And then the Transit Authority, just shy of 16%. So I guess I'm here today to ask for your approval on that allocation plan. And then if we do receive your approval, we would request a check in that amount. Lawrence County Social Services would disperse it to the three transportation providers and then collect back the necessary documentation that's needed by DHS by December 31st and make sure that's taken care of on behalf of the county.
Vanessa, first, thank you so much. As always, you always give a very thorough and concise overview of what it is we're looking at. And just to be clear, the dollar amount that you've quoted, $184,675, is coming from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yes,
It's not coming from the county's general fund.
that's correct.
And it'll come to us, and then we disperse it to you, and then you disperse it to the three entities that you listed.
That's right. And it has to be used for driver bonuses, retention. It has to be used for that. So, and it will only be used for that.
Thank you. I'll see if Commissioner Kennedy has any questions.
This is 100% going to the drivers, no administration fee being taken out. I'm not.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sanada.
That was, Commissioner Kennedy had my question. So there's the three entities, the private entity, social services, great organization, I sat on the board there for many years. But so it just will go to the drivers.
That's right. Well, it has to go to the drivers. Now, in the situation of ACTS, which I can speak about, what we did last time and what we plan to do this time is it has to be used for the drivers. They do get an annual bonus that we are allowed to charge there, and they've been getting a $3 per hour supplemental wage adjustment. Used to be called hazard pay during the height of COVID. And we've been able to continue that now because of this funding. And we're not passing along that to the passengers and a fare, it's going directly to them. So, full disclosure, ACTS is not going to break that amount by 27 drivers. We're going to use it over the next year to continue paying them that higher rate that's over and above their collective bargaining agreement. I can't speak exactly to what the Transit Authority or NOGA will do. But it has to go to the drivers, and I have to kind of aggregate all three transportation providers' drivers list of who's getting how much, who got or who's getting how much, and it has to be tied 100% to a driver's name, and it has to total the $184,675. No admin, no payroll taxes, like it has to go to.
I mean, that's something very straightforward, very transparent, that, they're gonna get what they deserve. I agree with what you're saying. I know during the COVID, it was a very difficult time to try to find people to take these jobs that sometimes can be very difficult. And I think this opportunity, I would thank the federal government to see the need for this, because they do, especially in Lawrence County, they provide a very valuable service, getting these people to the doctor, get them to the store to get their groceries, just the things that we take for granted because we have the opportunity to have a car and just do it. And most of these people rely on this, so I thank you for all your efforts there. And I'm just very pleased, that 100% is going to go to take care of these hardworking individuals.
Thank you, sir. You've heard the information given to us by Vanessa. What we would need to do, gentlemen, since this resolution was tabled, we first need a motion to take it off of the table. Would one of you care to make such a motion?
I move we take this off the table.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes,
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And now the proposed resolution would be ready now for a final vote. Before I ask for a motion, just want to make sure neither of you have any other questions. And if not, may I have then a motion for resolution 348?
I'll make it.
and I'll second.
Thank you both. If there are no other concerns or discussion, we'll take a final roll call on this.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes,
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Well, Vanessa, it's always nice to see you. We appreciate your joining us today. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Very much.
You're welcome to stay, but we know you're busy, so you have to move along. So have a great
Thank you all
day.
very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye now. We had another proposed resolution. This was number 350 that we discussed at our meeting 2 weeks ago. And my bad memory, JR, I can't remember, were you here or was Jason here?
I was here.
You were here. I apologize. I should have remembered that. And this involves the consent order that has been a compromise settlement agreement that's been reached between Lowe's Home Center in Union Township and the three taxing bodies, the Union Area School District, Township of Union, and the County of Lawrence. Our reason, I believe, if my memory's working, was that we were waiting to see what the other two taxing bodies did in terms of formal action on this. We, as a rule, try to wait and see what the other two do before we take final action. So it's been tabled the last 2 weeks. Do you happen to know if both entities have approved the consent order at a public meeting?
Yeah, in my understanding, speaking with Solicitor Madore, and I think Vanessa might be able to confirm, he actually has the consent agreement signed by the other two attorneys. So we're just waiting on the approval of the commissioners before he were to sign and file it. Is that
That's correct.
That's your understanding? So
I have
that's,
the order here.
I'm sorry,
I have the consent order here signed.
which tells me then that the two bodies must have met in public and must have voted on this to allow for the signatures. I do have one question before I turn it over to my fellow commissioners. Do you happen to recall when Lowe's first located here, however many years ago that might have been, were they granted any type of tax abatement at that time, to your recollection?
to my recollection? No, I was not here when that started, but I do not believe that side of Union Township had any type of an abatement. The Walmart side had a TIF,
Yes.
which is not technically a word of it. Nothing that I'm aware of on that side of the road.
Okay, I appreciate your sharing that with me. That answers my question and takes away a little bit of concern I might have had that I no longer have, having heard your answer. I'll see if Commissioner Sanada has any questions.
No, I'm fine.
Thank you. Commissioner Kennedy? Okay. Well, gentlemen, the first thing we would need to do would be to take Resolution 350 off of the table. Would one of you care to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes,
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes?
motion carries.
Thank you. We would then need a motion to move forward with 350. I do want to note that, just to summarize this very, very briefly, that Lowe's filed an appeal with the Board of Assessment, Board of Assessment Appeals. Lowe's was not happy with the decision that that board made, so they exercised their right to take it to Common Pleas Court, which they did. And this compromise settlement resulted from that having taken place. And can you just quickly summarize where the assessed value goes and what the tax impact would be, particularly for the county, if you have that in front of you, and for the other two bodies, if you have that as well?
Yes. So the current assessed value on the property is $4,942,300. That's again a 2003 base year market value. So it actually has a market value based off the assessment of $9,728,900. So the settlement came in at $4.25 million. So the new assessment is going to be $4,250,000, which is a loss in assessment of $692,300. So the market value that we went ahead and agreed to was $7,914,400, which gave us that $4,250,000 assessment. So the total assessment loss, the total tax loss for all three taxing bodies is going to be $21,571. The county portion is $5,752. The township is $4,043, and the school is $11,776 for a total of $21,571.
I very much appreciate your giving us that information for the second time. You did this 2 weeks ago, but thank you for doing it again. That all having been said, gentlemen, please, if you have any final questions before I take a motion. Anything else, Chris? No? Dan, anything else? Okay, would one of you then care to make a motion on proposed resolution 350?
I move we approve resolution 350.
I'll second.
If there are no other concerns, we can take a roll call then, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. JR, appreciate your taking the time to join us today.
Just one comment, Commissioner Vogler, that you mentioned about Mr. Meehan, Terry and his father. I did want to make reference. Mr. Meehan, the superintendent, did work in the assessment office at one point while he was working up the chain to get his education degree. So kind of comes full circle.
Wow.
Did that predate me?
He
Okay.
predated me.
Oh, okay. And he's a first-class gentleman too, so the apple didn't fall far from the tree.
I hear from the former staff, especially Kathy O'Leary.
Yeah.
Had a very good relationship with Terry.
Yeah.
Some of the stories that have occurred back then. So
I'm not surprised. Thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Have a good day, JR.
you as well.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for allowing us to move the agenda around a little bit. We'll go back to Roman numeral 7, new business. And the first resolution we're looking at is the proposed 2025 meeting schedule of the Board of Commissioners. We're required by law to vote on this and then do a legal ad to that effect. We will note that the commissioners will continue to meet every Tuesday at 10 a.m. In this room, open to the public. I'll make a side comment. We've learned that a lot of counties meet every other week. And we've chatted about that, but we just feel that the amount of agenda items we have, it would be pretty difficult to go every 2 weeks. But counties bigger than us, quite frankly, only meet every other week. But our plan is to continue to meet weekly. Now, in 2025, the following dates, there will not be a commissioners meeting. March 18, that coincides with the spring County Commissioners Association Conference in Dauphin County. We will not meet on May 20, that is the primary election day. August 19, we will not meet, that's the annual County Commissioners Conference. This year it's going to be in Somerset County. We will not meet on November 4, which is the general election day. We will not meet on November 11, that's Veterans Day. And then on November 25, we will not meet, that is the fall County Commissioners Statewide Conference, also in Dauphin County. The annual salary board, which is required by law, That will take place on Monday, January 6, 2025 at 10 a.m. Salary Board, they will meet on an as-needed basis. And when the necessity arises, we'll put the appropriate legal ad in the paper. The Retirement Board, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the county controller, and the county treasurer, we have been meeting quarterly. We intend to continue that practice. So right now, it's looking at February 18, June 10, August 12, and November 11. And those meetings would occur immediately following the adjournment of the commissioners' meetings on those dates. But I just realized November 11, we're gonna have to change that because that's Veterans Day. So we'll have to consider that as well. So let's scratch, if you don't mind, let's scratch November 11 with the understanding that we will discuss this along with the controller and the treasurer to determine an alternative date during that time frame, if you're both okay with that. Sure. The Board of Elections, which consists of the 3 of us, they will meet on an as-needed basis, and we'll do the appropriate legal ads. And the county's Prison Board, which consists of the 3 commissioners, the district attorney, the president judge, the county controller, and the county sheriff, they will continue to meet on the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 12 noon. So that is the proposed meeting schedule at this time. Let me see if Commissioner Kennedy has any concerns. Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanada?
No.
All right. So may I have a motion with the understanding that we're going to have to forego November 11th for Retirement Board and find a substitute date. But that being said, and what number is this resolution?
365.
365?
Yes.
Thank you. May I have a motion for this resolution?
I move we accept the resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. And if there are no other questions or concerns, we can have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler.
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a couple of appointments we need to consider, both of which involve the county's Industrial Development Authority. We have one position where the term of the current member is expiring, and then another position that has been vacant for a short period of time. We went through the appropriate process of noting the upcoming openings at 2 public meetings. We have an ordinance that we're governed by that requires us to announce the openings. And we did receive 2 letters of interest. Those individuals, again, based upon the ordinance, are subject to a criminal background check that was carried out, and they both came back fine. So we're looking at today adding 2 new people to the Industrial Development Authority. The first gentleman is Mr. Edwin Gerber, who is a resident of the city of Newcastle. And Mr. Gerber holds a management position with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Union. And we met with him, and I thought a very productive meeting with Mr. Gerber. So let me see if Mr. Sanada has any comments on this first proposal.
Yeah, I want to just echo the meeting we had with Mr. Gerber. I thought went well. He's very qualified, good background in the community. And I have no problem with him, and I look forward to him helping our community out.
Thank you much. Mr. Kennedy, any comments?
The other comment I got is I thought it was kind of interesting how he found out how this was opening. His son likes to watch our YouTube videos, so hi to his son. Thank you for doing this. Your dad's an interesting guy. So it'll be a good appointment to the board.
Thank you, Dan. You know, we also discussed the fact that particular labor union, IBEW, has made a very significant investment in our county. They constructed that training center in Neshannock Township a few years ago out on State Route 18. And they could have gone to many other counties, but they chose our county. We're very appreciative of that. I also have to say that the members of that union have been very active in the community in past years. Frank Tellis, who sits on a number of boards, was the business manager of that union for a number of years as well. So we're pleased with Mr. Gerber's expression of interest. So that being said, gentlemen, would one of you care to make a motion for Resolution 366, which would appoint Mr. Gerber?
I move we appoint Mr. Gerber to the board.
And I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. If there are no other comments, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Mhm.
The other position for the Industrial Development Authority, we had a gentleman express an interest, and we met with him, Mr. Samuel Houston, who resides in Neshannock Township. Mr. Houston is a bank executive, and with his financial background, we think that helps bring a lot to the table. One of the primary roles of the Industrial Development Authority is if, when needed, they have the legal authority and ability to float bonds. And we think with Mr. Houston's background, I think he would be very helpful for that. Should also note that a number of years ago, we authorized the county's Economic Development Corporation, Forward Lawrence, to serve as the administrative arm of the Industrial Development Authority. And Mr. Ben Bush has, along with so many other things, he's latched onto this, and he'll work closely with the 5 members of that authority. And so we're appreciative of Mr. Houston's interest as well. Let me see if Mr. Kennedy has any comments or concerns.
No, just another great individual that's going to go on this board. It's nice to see that Ben was up here interviewing with us. He's both these gentlemen, so he's taken like you said, an active role in this. We thank him also for that.
Thank you, Dan. Commissioner Sanada.
I just echo Commissioner Kennedy's comments. I think Mr. Houston will bring a lot to the table, especially with his banking background. And when you look at these 2 appointees, one's coming from Local 712, who's been a big investor in our community, brings 2 great perspectives to the table, and it's a very diverse board. And that's what you need for economic development. And like I said, both of these candidates were quite impressive the day we interviewed them. And I think they're going to do some good work working with Ben Bush and the Forward Lawrence. So that's all I have. Yep.
No, thank you very much. Just for the record, the other 3 current members of the board are in no particular order. Mrs. Nancy Bong, who is a retired utility executive, and she resides in Neshannock Township. Mr. George Selly, who is on the Elwood City Borough Council, and he resides in the borough of Elwood City. And then Jessica Seminara Tomzik, who's affiliated with Classico Foods. Is that the name of the corporate entity for Pizza Joe's?
Yeah.
And she's a resident of Scott Township. So this is a 5-member board. And then finally, I do want to note, we want to give express our appreciation to Mr. Darrell Audia, who has been serving on the board. His term will conclude at the end of this calendar year. So our thanks to Mr. Audia for his service. This is Resolution 367. I think I still need a motion. Do I not, Vanessa?
Correct.
May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Waking us up.
Now, Vanessa, I hope I didn't goof up here. You had added some things to our packet, and I've got duplicates now.
Oh, okay.
Am I okay?
Yeah, you're fine. The next one should be the transfer.
Oh, okay.
Union.
Okay, so I've got these 3 extra pages. I'll just set them aside.
Okay.
They were the,
Out of order.
that's okay. No, it's to keep me in line, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we're moving on then to the request from Human Resources for a transfer. This is number 368.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Correct.
And Vanessa and I spoke about this morning. We're breaking this actually kind of in 2, for lack of a better term. We have to vote separately on a portion of this request. And the request itself, the the document is attached to the resolution. And it's broken out as follows. Human Resources has 4 transfers they'd like to make. The first 3 we have to vote on with this resolution. The one at the bottom, the materials and supplies for $1,000, we'll be looking at that in a few moments when we do the administrative transfers. Do I have that right?
Correct.
Okay, so what we're looking at with Resolution 368 are the following. All Human Resources, they're asking for a $3,900 transfer from contracted services. These are all 3 coming from Commissioners Contracted Services. The first is $3,900 going into the testing expense line item. $301 goes into the unemployment insurance line item, and $188 will be transferred into land and building rental. And that would total $4,389 as listed on the resolution. So I hope you're with me on that. Thanks again to Vanessa for pointing that out. So gentlemen, that being said, I'll see if Mr. Sanada has any questions. Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, anything? Okay, this is Resolution 368. May I have a motion?
I move we approve Resolution 368.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. And if there are no concerns, we can take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. And again, we have the $1,000 transfer request that we'll be looking at in just a few moments. We'll do that separately. Speaking of, it's that time of year, toward the end of the year, and this happens every year, so, but we do have a very lengthy list of administrative transfers. So I hope you'll bear with me. I'm gonna walk us through them. Would ask Chris or Dan, stop me if you have any questions. And then if you're so willing, when we get to the end, we can vote on them as a group, or if you want to split any of them out, we can do that as well. So here we go. Domestic Relations is asking for a $500 transfer from travel and training into their Staples line item. The courts are requesting the following. They're asking, both of these transfers are coming from their materials and supplies line item. $800 would go towards land and building rental, and $2,000 would go towards their interpreter line item. Also from the courts, they're asking from their contingency a $2,000 request into the line item of interpreter. Human Resources, now we just talked about this. This is where we're going to look strictly at the $1,000 request from their materials and supplies line item into their Staples line item. The Register and Recorder's Office is asking for a $1,000 transfer from their materials and supplies line item into their Staples line item. Also from the Register and Recorder's Office, they're requesting a $400 transfer from their postage line item into that of equipment, lease, and rental. Under the Commissioner's area, we're asking for a total of $129.76. It's all coming out of the Staples line item. 128 of that will be transferred into the cable and internet line item, and $1.76. Well, you are efficient. $1.76. And geez, we could have taken up just a little collection. But that'll go into equipment, lease, and rental. But it also shows you how precise Joe and Vanessa are. The assessment office is asking for a $350 transfer from their contingency into that of their telephone line item. District Judge Amodi is requesting a $200 transfer from her contingency into that of her equipment, lease, and rental. The jail is asking for the following from their maintenance and repair line item. They're asking for a $2,754 transfer into their uniforms line item. Also from their contracted services, $1,300 also into their uniforms line item. And then finally, from the medical expenses line item, $5,000 into their FICA line item. Total of that request is $9,054. District Judge Nicholson is requesting a $255 transfer from her telephone line item into her bond insurance line item. I should say her office's telephone line item into her office's bond insurance line item. The district attorney, his office is asking for a $210.26 transfer from Staples into postage. Juvenile probation is requesting a $50 transfer from their materials and supplies into their postage line item. Maintenance is asking for the following. All of this is coming from their contingency. It's broken out as follows: $35.03 into office major, $9,900 into electric, $1,000 into the unemployment insurance line item, $2,000 into employee overtime, $5,000 into maintenance and repairs, $10,000, is that $625 into materials and supplies. Total $28,560, all coming from within their budget. The Children and Youth Services Office is asking for a $38.72 transfer from contracted provider care into equipment lease and rental. The Register and Recorder's Office asking for a $600 transfer from their travel and training line item into telephone and internet line item. The IT office, the Information Technology Office, is asking for a $5,000 transfer from their maintenance and repair line item into their materials and supplies line item. I should note with these ones that come from within their budgets, it's not affecting their bottom line. It's just a transfer from within their specific office budget. The district attorney is asking for the following: $150 from their materials and supplies into their land, building, and rent, $220 from their Staples line item into land, building, and rent, and $600 from their Staples line item into equipment lease. The county controller's office is asking for a $620 transfer from their contingency into their telephone line item. Mental Health and Developmental Services is asking for the following: from their contingency, $300 into their subscription line item. From their contingency, $300 into their water sewage expense line item, and $6,000 coming from their ID services baseline item into their ID case management line item. Domestic Relations is asking for, it's all coming from travel and training, totaling $1,800. $1,500 of it will go towards their Staples line item, and $300 will go towards their lease and rental line item. And I believe the last one I have here is from the jail. The first one's coming out of maintenance and repairs, $30,000 into salary of staff. Also from maintenance and repairs, $20,000 to salary of corrections, which I'm assuming corrections officers. Thank you, Joe. $10,000 from maintenance and repairs into their FICA line item, and then finally from materials and supplies, $20,000 into their water and sewage line item. Yes, ma'am. Sure, sure. Okay, it's on the agenda? Okay, thanks, Vanessa.
Yeah.
Okay, right at the bottom. Thank you very much. So we have the final two coming, this is from the Commissioner's office, a $100 transfer from postage into travel and training, and from subscriptions and books line item, $506.12 into travel and training. Total amount, $606.12. So thanks again, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Sheet back from you, I'm sorry.
you need it back?
Yeah. Is that
Oh,
all
okay.
right? I will
Yeah.
make you a copy. for
Okay,
Deb.
good. Yeah, for Deb.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Gentlemen, please ask any questions. The one question I'd ask you not to ask is, don't ask me to repeat all this. Otherwise, Dan, any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanada? Okay, thank you. Joe and Vanessa, anything on this matter, any problems with these transfers? Okay. Well, again, this is typical for this time of year. This is not out of the ordinary. We're at the end of the budget year, and it's just like your household budget. You have certain areas that you maybe go over a little bit, and you have ones that you go under, and in this manner, you're able to transfer. So that being said, I'll ask my colleagues if one of them would like to make a motion to approve these requested transfers.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen, and do either of you have any questions? Okay, thank you both. We'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes?
motion carries.
Thank you so much. Couple of announcements. This board will meet 1 week from today, December 10, at 10 a.m. in this room. It's open to the public. The Lawrence County Planning Commission will hold their monthly meeting 1 week from tomorrow. That will be Wednesday, December 11, at 12 noon at Ryder's Restaurant, which is located at the corner of State Route 18 and State Route 208 in Wilmington Township. The prison board is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, December 18, at 12 noon in this, by the way, we might have an issue that day. That is, the 18th is the conservation board meeting. I've got to go to it, I'm on that board, but my colleagues have been invited to the annual luncheon portion of that meeting. So I'll leave it up to Dan and Chris as to what they want to do. I cannot go to prison board.
Okay.
And again, I'll leave it up to my colleagues and they maybe want to consult with Mr. Lamacusa. Just want to note that.
If you guys want to let us know, we can check with Mr. Lamacusa
Why
and
don't you check?
pick another
Why don't
day.
you
Well, either pick another day or if they get 4 people,
That's true.
they'll have a quorum. So, but I'll leave it up to Dan and Chris.
I would recommend to check, just because this is an annual event.
Yeah.
We
Right, so you're
probably
planning on going to conservation?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's an
okay.
annual event, so I
Okay.
think we should be there. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Any thoughts, Mr. Kennedy?
Unless Josh wants to buy me lunch, you can do what you gotta do and we'll see if we
We'll
can.
figure it out.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you
you're welcome.
very much. We do plan to have a salary board meeting on Friday, December 20 at 9 a.m. in this room. And that will be, as these other meetings are, open to the public. We'll note that later in the month, the courthouse will be closed on Tuesday, December 24, Wednesday, December 25, and Thursday, December 26, in observance of the Christmas holiday. And then looking ahead to next year, we will be closed on New Year's Day, January 1, 2025. And then by law, as we noted earlier, the salary board is required to hold an annual meeting at the beginning of the year. That's in the county code, and that will be happening in every county in Pennsylvania. Our meeting will be held on Monday, January 6, 2025 at 10 a.m. in this room. At this time, I will open the floor for any public comments that anyone might have.
Did you approve all of those transfers?
Yes, we did.
I missed,
We did, right? We took a motion, a second, we did a roll call vote. Yes, ma'am.
I was making marks. I have two questions about the administrative transfers. Letter D, ports from contingency to interpreter for $2,000. What is the purpose of the interpreter? I know we have Spanish-speaking residents. Would this be for people who are committing offenses that need to have interpretation?
It's for people who are in the court system that are not proficient in the English language. The law requires that interpreters be provided. And this would be true in every county in Pennsylvania.
And how would they be in the system, like in CYS and DHS, or, I don't know?
This would be for anyone involved in the court system, whether it be a civil trial, a criminal trial.
Okay,
Regardless of the situation, if they're not proficient in the English language, the law requires they be given an interpreter,
okay,
and we're required to pay for it.
okay. And I see Staples mentioned quite often, and my first reaction was Staples, the stationery business?
Yes.
But what are you referring to?
No, you are correct. It's not this. It is the Staples Company. Back when they were actually had a location in Union Township, we entered into an agreement with them whereby if the amount of business we were able to give them resulted in a discount. Is that correct?
Yes,
Now, even though they're no longer located in Union, I think the closest one is up in Hermitage.
yes.
We still have that discount, do we not?
We do have that discount and, for several years, we had gone, or for a few years, I don't wanna say several. We had gone to where all funding for that would come out of materials and supplies. In the last couple of years, by the recommendation of our controller, we started to put Staples accounts back in. So we kind of split the materials and supplies line item with the Staples. So, but if a majority, sometimes some offices just like to order exclusively from Staples, then you have to take it out of materials and supplies and move it over as needed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Other public comment? Mr. Burchett.
I might as well say, I noticed the interpreter too, and I noticed on my, the bill for it, but I thought, if we make Spanish the official language, we wouldn't have to deal around with all these nonsense little languages and what have you. There's thousands of languages in the world, and just make it Spanish or English or French or whatever you want. So maybe if anybody ever asks you to vote on that, you'll realize that you'll save money.
That would be a matter for legislative bodies higher than us, quite frankly. But I appreciate your comments, Mr. Burchett. Thank you. Any other public comment? If Debbie Walker is watching from the Newcastle News, we will have your packet upstairs for you to pick up, Debbie. Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Kennedy.
The only thing is you keep saying 2025, it's hard to believe it's been almost a year.
Yeah.
These went by quick. We've got a lot done in that year, so happy.
It's been a good year. I know you had some bumps in the road, but we're just happy that you're sitting here. We're very happy.
So am I, believe that.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Commissioner Sanada.
I'll just echo, we're happy Dan is here and is ready to start the new year. I think he's been looking forward to 2025 to
Yeah,
start
get rid of
fresh.
2024.
That's right. Anything else, Chris? Vanessa or Joe, anything we've perhaps forgotten or overlooked?
No.
All right, thank you. Well, we do appreciate your attendance today and appreciate everybody's participation. With there being no other business to be brought before the board, may I please have an adjournment motion?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, oppose the same sign. Motion carried. This meeting is adjourned. And Joe, if you turn off the computer. Thank you, everybody. Well, we'll take it to lunch.
A minute over. But we started that late, so you were right on the right on time.
1 hour.
I think you meant that we should.
Well,
Did I say-
Well,